this out of here.
Joe's closing 6 to 7 tabs of indie RPGs as we speak.
Shut up. That's not true.
Joe
I
closes
didn't have
tabs?
any
Because it's
indie
more?
RPGs up. No.
Only AAA RPGs.
Oh, it depends on your definition of AAA. Anyway, before we all decided to roast Joe for no reason, innocent does nothing wrong Joe.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, I know, it is bullshit that I'm getting roasted when I'm innocent and do no wrong. This sounds kind of like... What is it? Pathologic.
The Ice Pick Lodge game?
This music. A little. Or sorry, I think it is, I don't know. But, anyway, I want to find a little bit more... Yeah.
Although, what part of this is city intrigue?
A part where it sounds like an Ace
That part.
Attorney game.
Okay, yeah, it's getting there. What was the start?
Kind of weird. Let's do this one.
That's the
So, last time we left off, there was a bunch of stuff popping off. I'm sure you all remember well, but we will start back up with one person in particular. On this fine day, it is quite late in the evening at Termarkt. And we're gonna actually, or not, we're gonna actually take a quick step back to a time slightly before. So, a few days before all of the events that had already transpired happened, in this very same Termarkt, with the sun in the sky on a beautiful, crisp day, we see outside of the Kinsla Family Museum in the heart of the downtown area of Termarkt, which I want here. There we go. Why can't I pin this? I want to pin this scene. But in the heart of the downtown area of Termarkt, at the Kinsla Museum, we close in on the solitary door. The matron and patron, Ma and Pa Kinsla, have left prematurely. And they're left prematurely to investigate their exciting new foray into the railroad, among other things. And on this particular day, it has fallen onto the shoulders of Katrina to man the museum, which is not unusual to her, but she, in the museum, we find her in the midst of finishing up a letter, signing it, sealing it, and sticking it into a nearby drawer in the museum while things are not quite busy. And as you've put this letter in this drawer, Katrina, you hear the door knock. And before you even have time to ask who it is, the door is pushed in with quite a bit of force. Not knocked off, but people barge in. And you know right away that this is the church. And you have been expecting this, at least partially. Behind them, you see Uncle Colin with a very, very dark look on his face, doing something he's not proud of, but doing something he must do nonetheless. And these attendants, they are not garbed in inquisitorial gear as you might expect. These church attendants are garbed in more pristine white medical gear. Something a bit more sanitized. And they rush forward, doing their best not to harm you, but to restrain you. In this moment, would she struggle at all?
I think if she's been expecting it, I don't think that Cap is necessarily the type of person who does struggle in situations like this. I think that she's very much the stay calm, I'll figure something else out along the way sort of person. So I think that she's not struggling, but she is making eye contact with Colin.
Colin pointedly avoids eye contact as best he can, but for a fleeting moment, you catch his gaze. You can make a read roll if you'd like. This is a low stakes roll.
Sure. Let's see what we're cooking with.
Oh.
Oh, there's a 6. That I don't know
Yep.
if I want a 6 here. Where are you later? 6?
Unfortunately, you get a 6 here, for better or for worse. And in this case, you see in Uncle Colin's eyes, you've always been very good at kind of assessing his nonverbal cues. And this time is no different. As you see in his face, this storm of regret and sorrow, all of these unsaid words transpiring, where he's apologizing, where he wishes it didn't have to come to this, where he wishes the family could have figured something out. But your parents, your siblings, even some of their associates and friends, beyond just them, they have started to distance themselves from you. And there in his face, you can see that he's doing it not because he was asked to, because he volunteered. He wouldn't want strangers to be there to admit you. But even still, he just can't bear to guiltily stare you in the eye. And as these orderlies walk up and basically, not too forcefully, but still quite firmly help you, they begin to escort you down to a particular part of a particular building that belongs to the church. One that you had dreams, almost visions of. One of your siblings, you had a very, very clear vision of one of your other siblings who had completely lost their own mind and was admitted here. One of many visions you have had. But here you stand, having been escorted to that very same asylum. And as you are being escorted in, you close your eyes, and what should have been a blink is more of like a longer flash. You close your eyes, and then your surroundings are different, and you've moved much further. You've already been brought into the asylum. You've been processed. You've been deposited in a place to stay. And in that moment, you are alone, and you are able to really ponder all of what you've experienced and what it means, if it means anything, or if you truly have gone mad. I need everyone to roll a simple single d6.
I got a 5. That's 5.
It's a 5.
5, Matt. 5. Matt, roll a 5.
Literally everyone ties. You will have to re-roll.
I've never used this UI before, my dude.
The square. Ah!
Holy
Oh,
shit.
your dice looks cool. Okay, so I'll say Bellamy and Cat. You can either choose to go first, or you can, if either of you want to volunteer, or we can roll off.
You want to go for rollies, punk?
Okay.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. Hold, I forgot to hit enter.
Oh.
I got a 5 again.
Perfect.
No, see, it works out because there's a 4 and then a 1, and 4 plus 1 is 5. So we're still consistent.
True. Yeah, you know what? That's true. So, Kat, you have this moment of seeing that image and feeling that feeling of resignation and being brought into and admitted into the church asylum. And in the quiet of the room where you were more or less dropped off, you blink and kind of come back to your senses, and you find yourself in the museum, and standing before you is Caithness, and they have just come back, supposedly. You have a little bit of a foggy-headed experience for a minute, but they're here, and that the boy, or the one who's with them, is not. So maybe something went wrong. You're not sure, but Kaith is here.
Kat just sits up for a second, looks around, touches some of the things on her desk, and touches the drawer that she remembers seeing in whatever this was. This weird vision that's left her with a building dread. But she shakes it off. It's probably just a stress dream. She did see unholy horrors earlier today, and that sort of thing tends to leave its mark upon somebody. And as she sees Caithness, she stands and walks over to them, gives them a hug, holds them at arm's length. Ah, Mooncat, you're back early, aren't you?
Caithness, they look at you and kind of regard you positively and smile and nod and say, something has come up, and I need an artifact, if you don't mind.
Well, I don't mind helping you, but what do you mean you're needing an artifact?
They stiffly kind of wiggle their way out of your grasp and begin to walk into the next room. Like, I imagine there's like the little like front entrance desk area, and then you walk into the actual bulk of the museum, and they push past, walk in there, just kind of looking around. The museum is not an incredibly big building. It is a very well curated, not cramped, but not too big, very organized building. And you have spread about various things from various parts of the world and various esoteric like items and collections and things. And Caithus just seemingly starts looking at all of them, examining each one, and you're kind of they seem to have almost checked out.
Kat scrambles after them and tries to put herself in between Caithness and the displays, and sort of waves her hand in front of their face. Mooncat, are you there?
Caithus like kind of rebuffs for a second and shakes their head and says, yes. You don't still happen to have the more private section, do you? And they about face and start walking towards the other room. So in this museum, you have a processing area where you would catalog everything that you bring in. You have an area where you stage and set up displays and keep records on and documentation on everything and when it was acquired. It's all a very, very well documented process. The thing to which Caithus is referring would be the part of the business that you are not not against or not well versed in, but more of the part of the business that is what Colin is typically doing. Particularly valuable and rumored to be potentially dangerous occult things, which are typically not displayed but traded or sold. They are making their way to that area.
Kat is running after them. I imagine struggling a little bit to keep up because Caithness is such a lank master of a person. And frowning as the sense of dread builds inside of her. Caithness, are you alright? What are you talking about? The private section of the museum? You know well and good over half the bleeding museum's private. What happened? What happened to you? What happened to you and Bellamy? Did something go wrong?
As you are following after Cave, you're walking behind them for a minute to catch up to them, and as you are trying to catch up to them, you don't see their face. Their face is obstructed from view, and you look at the back of their head. Roll me a sense roll.
Sensing. Let's see how I'm doing at that. I got a 4. I don't think that does.
4.
Yeah, gilded 4. I don't think that does much for me.
Gets the drive back.
Oh, I'll take that.
Yeah, it does get you a drive back. It does get you an intuition drive back. But as you are catching up to them, there is a moment where you are walking up behind them and you're looking at the back of their head and their shoulders and just kind of taking in the physicality of this person as they are walking. And there's you can't establish what it is. There is something wrong. More so than just the way that Caithness seems to be extremely driven, which even in their most intense moments, Caithness is always at least passingly courteous. And in this particular moment, it seems like you and everything around them are an obstruction. And without seeing their face, you're getting a strange vibe. How? Let me ask you, Kira. How in tune is Kat with the sort of natural magic that occurs in the world?
I would say she's more in tune with it than she would like to admit.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fair bit of denial going on in those parts there.
Okay. So as you are looking at the back of Kate's head and you catch up to them, there's a moment when you look at their face and you just can't recognize them. It isn't someone you recognize instead, but it is not Kate. You don't know who it is, but for that brief second, it is just the only way you can think to describe them is not Kate.
I think something settles into the pit in Kat's stomach, and she looks around. And if this isn't Keith, then something has gone very wrong. Perhaps with her. She's not sure. And beneath her breath, she takes a second, curses in Gaelic, and runs through her options. And she's never been able to physically restrain Caithness. They're firstly larger than her in terms of reach, and secondly have this sort of uncanny ability to wriggle out of her grasp when they want to. And Caithness is very fighty sometimes, and Kat knows good and well she can't take a punch. So I think what she's going to do is try and flag down one of the museum guards.
Mm-hmm.
And get them to try and help her gently, because she's still not sure if it's her that's the problem here, or if it's this Caithness that's not Caithness. Try to restrain this gremlin.
Okay. So the guards that are kind of meandering about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Uncle Colin is still in the building. He hasn't gone away yet.
Yeah.
Okay. But the various guards and other people who kind of mill about to make sure that people don't disturb the artifacts, you can flag one of them down. What do you tell them?
Could you help me out here for a moment? Kate Ness is having themselves a bit of a difficult time. They're not listening to me, and I'm worried they may abscond with a couple of the artifacts. Be gentle, won't you?
This guard that you're talking to, you know this person. He's a big brawny fellow. He's built a bit like a barn door. This is one of the extras who Colin is like, you aren't a survivor kind of person, but you're good enough that you could be like a museum bouncer or like security person. But he is by far the most large of the museum guards. You point out that Keith is acting strange, and at this point, Keith is rounding the corner, walking into a separate room, and guy looks down at you and then looks over back towards Keith and just goes, "Yeah, I'll see what I can do," and he starts very, very determinedly walking in that direction. Do you follow, or do you just watch him pan out? Okay.
Yeah.
So you both round the corner into that separate back room, and this back room is a processing area. And Keith had been walking with a purpose. In this back room processing area, Keith seems to be rummaging around through several boxes at a time, like one hand in one and one hand in another, looking and searching. The guard, he walks in and just goes, hey, walks over and grabs Keith by the shoulder to try and pull them out of the box, or at least like pry them away from it. And you watch as they walk up, put a hand on Keith, and there is a flash of like a bright light for a half second, and you see that you feel like a warmth, and you hear a little like plump, like a thud of somebody dropping, like something dropping to the floor. And you can see that Keith has wheeled around and found in one of those like holding boxes some type of curved dagger of some sort. And they whip around, swing the dagger out wide, and faster than you could have seen it, Keith has severed one of the man's fingers. And he is in shock at it, just kind of staring at the stump where his index finger used to be. And Keith looks at you and looks at him, and you see that the purple in Keith's eyes, their pupils dilate until there is no pupil left. They shrivel and shrink and then vanish, and there is only the solid purple of their irises. I'll give you a chance to do something here. But you just watched not Cave slice this dude's finger off.
Yeah, that's not great. Matt, what's up with
on.
that?
Let him cook.
I don't know if we should let them cook.
I mean,
let me see here.
you can have a Vienna sausage.
I
will say if you want some suggestions, you could obviously try to fight it out. I'm all down for fighting it out. Fighting it out might actually be really cool. You're the underdog, and I love to root for the underdog.
The way you said that is
in the event that you don't actually want to fight it out, you can try to reason with Keith. You can try for an absolute wild Hail Mary and try to pull on some magic shit. If you want to. There's a whole number of things you could do. You could try to look for an artifact in the room that could help you instead.
Could you try to distract Keith and then sway the guard to try to convince him to actually come to himself and use his barn door girth on her?
You could easily roll a sway to try and distract Keith so that barn door man could use all 9 of his fingers to restrain them.
She's cat of 9, he's barn of 9.
At least as
Mhm.
long as he has 9 fingers.
You know
Better
what?
hurry.
Yeah. All right.
Strike.
I'm not gonna strike, Matt.
Strike.
I'm not gonna strike.
Bring it on.
I'm going to use. I will use sway for a distraction, and then I will figure out what the fuck else I'm doing once I see how the sway goes.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. I've got drives. I'll spend a drive.
This will be a pretty high. This will be a high stakes roll for sure.
Do I want to spend both of my drives?
If you have resistance, you can use that for a reroll. So if you'd like to save a drive, you could opt to use resistance.
My resistances are empty.
Oh.
So.
Did you not have any?
No, I have 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1.
Okay. Did you ever use them? I don't remember using resistance.
I don't remember.
It would be a reroll, and I don't remember reroll ever coming up for you.
I don't either.
Charles, do you remember this?
I don't remember Monday.
I will authoritatively say you've never rerolled in this campaign. You've never talked about using resistance. Mm-hmm. I think you might have given yourself you've given yourself 1, but didn't give yourself that 1.
Yeah,
we didn't really talk about resistance too much.
You can at least have the 1 resistances that you should have.
Okay. So I will spend 1 drive, and I will spend a resistance if I need to.
Yes.
5? 5's not bad, right?
A 5? Okay. Yeah, a 5 is a mixed success.
Mm-hmm.
So
do I get my thingy back?
You would have to take the 4 to get the drive back.
Oh.
You could take a 4. You could take the 4 to get it back.
Basically, you can always choose the gilded die, so you could even take a failure on a gilded die if you want the drive.
I think I'll rock with a 5. I feel like that's more important here.
I will say because you are taking 5 just by virtue of it being slightly higher, I will give you a slightly better impact. So you're trying to sway to distract Keith, in the hopes that the guard will be able to deal with Keith.
Yes, although I am open to alternative strategies as well, but that's the primary one.
You call out to Keith, and in the moment that you call out, I will let you choose, because you call out the guard in a very unexpected and unfortunate turn of events. Both of them turn to you, and you can see Keith rearing back with that dagger, going for another strike. You can take the hit, or the guard can take the hit.
Oh, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always gonna take the hit, Joe.
Okay. So you try to distract them. You, in that shout, you rush forward. And how do you want to try to take the hit? Do you want to try to grab the blade?
I think Kat's smart enough to know that she probably can't overpower Keith Ness. So I think the strat here is instead just tossing herself in the downward slope of the blade.
Okay. So you try to interpose yourself between the guard and Keith. And as you do, Keith can't withdraw the momentum of the strike. So the not Keith is leaned into it. And with all of that effort, it swings up and draws a vicious streak up from part of your forearm across the lower part of your abdomen and part of your leg, and it is 2 body marks.
Ouchie!
It is a brutal cut. But you've distracted Keith, and then this guard is going to try to like rear over and grab at them. And you watch as this broad-shouldered person, like this dude, steps in and puts a hand over and around like Kate's neck, and then grabs the arm like slightly above the elbow, like grabs the bicep with the other hand to try and keep them from swinging the knife. And Kate is restrained for a time, and this man looks at you and says, "Call the guard." And you like his hand is bleeding really badly. He's just slicked with blood. There's a lot of blood on your clothes. There's a lot of blood on Kate's clothes. It is escalating quite quick. What do you do?
I think Kat, who is just reeling from the pain here, because she doesn't do the sort of field work that gets you involved in getting stabbed. That's not her bag. So she's feeling that head rush sort of sensation from both starting to lose quite a fair bit of blood and also the pain of the wound itself, the adrenaline kicking in. And she locks eyes with this guard, and there's horrible guilt at the base of her. She's trying to consider what to do. I think that she would probably run out of the room, and if she sees Colin, she's going to tell Colin immediately. If she does not see Colin, she's going straight for the guard.
Okay. Just roll me 1d6.
Sure, I'll give you a d6. I really wish it would just roll the d6 when I clicked the button.
Okay. So you rush out. There are not a heck of a lot of guards stationed right now. There's at any given point anywhere from 2 to 3. There is another guard. Colin is nowhere to be seen. But you can rush out into the street and call for a guard if you like, if that is the plan. But as you are rushing out, you don't see Colin.
I will send the other Kinsler brand guard in there and then continue to head out and see if I can flag down a city guard. I think that's what Kat is going to try and do.
Okay. You rush out and go to start flagging down a guard. And as you are doing that, we are going to pan the camera towards Keith and Bellamy. So, last we left Keith and Bellamy, let's see. You were both here. The passage beyond the door, in the hole underneath Termarked. And you had stepped through a threshold, cave. Actual cave.
What do you mean, actual cave?
Ha ha ha. True. So, you stepped through a threshold. So here's my question. First, to you, Bellamy. Do you follow after? Or do you wait? Or hesitate, I should say.
I think Bellamy's hesitating. If this is the same hallway that he saw on the last job.
It is eerily similar. It's hard to tell if it's the same, but it is eerily similar. I'll say if you want to roll survey, or no, focus. You can roll focus to try and recall I'll let you roll survey though, because you're kind of an explorer. I'll say you can roll survey or focus to try and recall if it is or is not the exact hallway. This is a low stakes roll. for 5 on a focus.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you are in that moment, like, it is so difficult to recall. So I will let you choose. You can remember. No, actually, never mind. Never
I
mind.
can't remember.
You can't recall exactly what, if you just know that the features from this hallway and that place you were underneath that temple were extremely similar. And it is shaking, like, very much shaking your nerve, but if you hesitate as Caithness steps through the threshold of one of the nearby doors. So, Caith, tell me, in that moment that you step through the threshold, what is at the forefront of Caith's mind, uh, in terms of a place and the emotion behind it? Like, what is the first sort of place Caith would think of, or person? It could be a person or a place.
Cave is. Their thoughts are drifting back to the estate where they all grew up. And their thoughts are on endless hallways like this one, where a door might not open to the same room twice, or not even to the same room for two different people. And they're thinking of the rooms that no one else found because no one else was looking for them like they did. They're thinking of a reading room they found once that was beautiful and stocked with numberless books. But you could never turn a corner in it and not see a rotted, moldering armchair with a sheet draped over it and a reeking human shape beneath it. They never lifted that sheet. They've always wondered, why didn't they?
So, with this on your mind, roll me a focus roll. This will be medium stakes.
I'll toss a drive at it.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and you get a drive back. So
Least likely
with
to drive
5,
skills.
you have this thought, and as you step through that threshold, out of the darkness, you see the a door. It looks like a standard kind of 18th century, like brass knob, with like crown molding around the edge. Like, it's very much a door that would be right at home in the mansion, the Kinsla estate. And just looking at it, it has a very, very, like, strong sense of like a beckoning. There is a sense of familiarity from it. Like, it's not just any doorway in this hall full of thresholds and other doorways that you could have chosen. That is the estate. And Bellamy, you watch as Caithness steps over the threshold, and they just completely vanish into the dark, like totally subsumed by the darkness. Caith, what do you do?
Keith has always liked doors. Not really in the sense that they're works of artisanry that can have a very nice door. What's always appealed to them, and this has only been reinforced by their experience in the mansion, is that they promise transformation. And so, of course, they open the door.
You walk forward and open the door, and you hear that familiar, long, like wooden creaking, and it's almost like magic. You open the door, and as you pass through across that threshold and onto the wooden floor with carpet atop it of the estate, you are in the Kinsla estate. You are in the actual house. And you're not. It's strange because you're not sure that the house is different. The house is familiar, but something else is different. It's like if it's like being inside a familiar place, but if you go too far outside it, you'll realize you're somewhere else. Like when you drive over a mountain range and you see the opposite side of the mountain. You're still inside your car, you're still in this familiar place, but it's different.
Caithness isn't as bothered by that as they should be. It was the nature of the Kinsla estate that it never would quite be the same house twice. They can still remember their time in it. Remember the time that they had two friends and could enjoy the innocent parts of life. But they also remember all the small signs that the house gives you to let you know how to navigate it, both to where you wanted to go and to where it wanted you to go. And so they try to go to the reading room because they want to know what's under that sheet.
Okay. Bellamy. As Kate steps into the darkness, there's a beat that passes as you're just assessing all of what's happening. What do you do after you realize, like, Caithness has stepped into the dark and just vanished? Do you chase after them?
Bellamy's running after them.
Okay. As you run into the same threshold, make me let's do a sense roll. Or you can do sense or focus. And this will be also medium stakes. Yes. So you charge into the dark. What is at the forefront of Bellamy's mind in this moment, both in terms of a person or place, as well as the emotion behind it?
Anxiety would be the emotion. It's too close to how I was at the job to pass the temple. After he came back to Terramark, the first place he went to was Glory's flat. So he will be thinking about Glory.
Oh. So you charge through the dark, and there's no way that Keith should be this far into the dark. But as you charge through, you see something emerge from the darkness. A door that you recognize, but it definitely shouldn't be here. And there's like a nervousness that wells in the pit of your stomach. You see the door to Glory's flat, but not just the front door, not like the front door to get into the flat, more personal. You see the bedroom door of her flat. And it just hangs there in the dark.
Bellamy's gonna come to a slow and look around. Any sign at all for Keith?
You spin around in place, and the threshold that you had crossed and walked into here, that threshold is gone. You are in a total void of darkness. Keith is nowhere to be seen. All that sits before you is that door. But even then, it doesn't feel permanent. It feels like it's only partially here.
Is there a light that Bellamy can see under the door?
You walk up to the door and kind of go, like, crouch to peer underneath it. There is a familiar light, like a reading lamp.
All right, we'll walk through.
So you walk through the bedroom door. I have a question about Bellamy and Gloria, or Glory.
Mm-hmm.
So how close, how intimate were Bellamy and Glory? And for how long have they been that close?
Maybe only a couple of months. I feel Glory would keep him at a distance if she was planning to run for governor.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine she was definitely had a party side that she enjoyed having Bellamy around for.
For sure.
But when it came time to be serious, she would distance herself.
Mm-hmm. So you walk through that door, and it just as it always has, it pulls in, and you see sitting on the bed in a sort of mournful pose, you see Glory. Her orange hair is just very vibrant, almost like it glows on its own. But Glory she is a mess. You've seen her when she's not, at the top of her game, but this is the kind of disheveled that someone in mourning is. Like makeup running down the eyes, and bags, a little bit of like tired lines, as well. She is in like sleeping attire, clearly just just exhausted. And as you step forward, you see that, and she immediately perks up like she was not expecting someone, and she just stares at you. And you have not seen like shock on someone's face until you have seen her in that moment. Like eyes wide and just mouth agape looking at you.
He'll take a step forward. Glory, are you okay? Did something happen? Did he'll drop Keith, the intent on looking for Keith, and join her at the. I'm sorry. Did you say desk?
Bed, like the side of a bed.
Oh, bed. Okay.
Yeah. She's in a way she is like dressed as if she was about to go to sleep. Which it was late when you had left, but maybe not that late. And you step forward and join her by the side of the bed, and as you get close, she like reflexively shies away, kind of pulls her hands back and just goes, "You're not real, right? You can't be real. Are you really here?" And she reaches out and puts a hand on your face.
Glory, is everything okay? I'm right here.
She scrutinizes your face and just like runs one finger across your cheek and across your brow. "Where have you been? It's been over a week. They had funerals for everyone."
He'll step in. I'm sorry, Glory. I couldn't bring myself to go. Did you know Giuseppe and Laszlo were with me? I couldn't bear to see their families. Giuseppe's wife.
She stands up, and the gesture is partially like anxious and partially enraged. She stands up and like puts a hand on the bedside table beside her, and she goes, "No, no, 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 no. They had funerals for everyone. They had funerals for you. You died. You went missing and you died. How are you here unless you faked your fucking death?" And she like pushes you on the shoulder.
Gloria, I've been back in town for a week. For weeks. You saw me when he came back.
She looks at you. You can roll me a sway roll, or a read roll, either to try and like calm her down or convince her of the truth, or to try and understand what you might not be understanding.
I will do sway with the drive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This will be low stakes. Nice. So with a 4, or it says 2.
Sorry. I forgot how to use drives.
It's keep low. The drive is prompted after that, but
Oh.
so in this case, if it's easier, you can just roll 1d6 if you're using a drive on an untrained skill.
Yes. So, just roll 1d6 and then mark that you used the drive if you haven't already.
EA did.
Nice.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, belly boy.
So she you say that you came by to visit, and she's just she, while you are saying it, she is shaking her head no, like in that sort of desperate no, you're lying right now. I know you're lying to me, and she is just the shake of her head gets faster and faster, and she's just like, no, you stop it. She grabs you by the shoulder and gives one good shove, and she's like, you didn't come back. Why didn't you come back? You said it was a simple job, in and out.
Bellamy's gonna stand up, still holding his shoulder where she's been pushing him, and take a step back. I came back, and I came almost directly to you. Glory, you held me, and I cried. I couldn't speak, and you waited. Glory, what's going on?
Roll me a survey check. And this will be medium stakes, but you're not going to risk getting hurt. Oh, with a 6? Okay. So you say Glory, what's going on? And as you do, your eyes catch something sitting on the bedside table, just past her shoulder, or just past her waist, really. Under the lamplight, you see a paper, a newspaper with today's date on it. And the top story paper reads, "Eldest Kinsla admitted to asylum." And it has a picture of Katrina on it.
At this point, Bellamy's gonna walk past Glory and just pick up the paper and take in everything that he can as quickly as he can.
You stride past Glory and grab the paper and start skimming over it. And there is a dull sense that you have of her getting frustrated and talking at you. But you scan over this paper, and as you're reading it, it details out that the eldest Kinsla of the prestigious Kinsla family has gone mad from ghostly grief, it says in the paper. It is a sensationalist piece detailing that Katrina Kinsla has supposedly gone mad after seeing visions of death of her siblings. She was admitted today to the Termarked Asylum for the clinically insane that is run by the church, in the hope that she will be made well. And you can see that the other family members have all made comment. the other Kinsla siblings. And as you are reading this, go ahead and take a brain mark. As you are being flooded with information that just doesn't add up. As you're reading that, you get about halfway through it and absorb all of the information that you can, and then it is snatched out from in front of you by Glory. And she is just starting to get red in the face and teary-eyed, and she's like, even listening to me? Are you?
I think Bellamy's just going to turn for the door.
You almost catatonically, almost catatonically, take a few steps to the door. Again, with the dull sense that Glory is livid at you. And you open the door and pass through it. There is no dark void on the other side, which would almost be welcoming in a sense. Instead, it is the outside of the flat, where it always has been, in the street in Termarkt where it always should have been this whole time. And you're out and about. It's late. The sky is clear. And there's something gravely wrong. And with that, we're going to transition to a different part of Termarkt, in a different Termarkt, where Katrina, you have rushed out into the busy street to find someone, anyone, a guard or someone who could help. So, as you rush out and shout for help, make me a survey roll.
All right, survey.
This will be low stakes.
A little distracted by blood loss, Chief.
Yes. So you rush out into the street, and immediately there are, like, the city's not jam-packed with people, but it is busy enough that as you run out into the street, there are a few nearby people who do a double take. Like, they see you, they see your leg and part of, like, your waist and your arm is soaked in blood, and it is a searing pain. It is something you have only ever experienced from the sharp end of a piece of paper. Only this time it is much, much bigger, and pointedly distracting. But it does help fuel your rampant cries for help, to which several citizens run up to help you, offering to like do whatever they can, but you're not looking for average citizens. You want guards, and it doesn't take but another few seconds after that that guards quickly run up. Go ahead and roll me a sway roll. I know you're going to succeed. This is going to tell me how quickly you can get this.
That's you're putting a whole lot of faith in me here, Joe.
You're a sway person, aren't you? The sway lord.
I have 3 rakes in sway, yes. So let's fucking hope here. There's a 6 there.
Look at how swaying you are. Perfect. You didn't even need a drive. This is perfect. So with a 6, exactly what I had described, where like a few people quickly run up to you, immediately aware of the distress, but following close behind them, a pair of church guards, and these are the newly acquired and functionally part of the church guard. Again, not Inquisition, but they look intimidating and sort of like Inquisition. But
Black
they
Rock, but church.
but they quickly approach, and they ask you what's wrong. Like, how do you explain to them that shit is fucked?
I think what she says is, there's something in the museum, and it looks like my cousin, but it's not my cousin, and you need to move quickly because it's whatever that thing is. It's got a dagger.
Okay, so you explain that. They give a quick look at each other. Beneath the helmets, you can see a firm understanding of like they want to help. They're going to help. They quickly walk one on either side of you, around you, and they reach down, brandish swords, and storm into the museum. At this, you can see there is a crowd beginning to gather. This is going to end up in the papers. So, yeah, like they storm forward, with the crowd gathering behind you as you. I assume you follow after.
Yeah, she follows, she moves quick, and she's like, there's the horror and the fear of whatever's going on in the back of the museum right now. There's this faint worry of what if it actually is Caithness? What if all of this is her starting to lose it? And then there's also the dread of, oh no, the papers are going to love this photo and I will never be able to stop answering questions about it. Whatever happens here today, everyone's about to see it.
Mm-hmm. So they rush in, and you like this building frustrating anxieties, like just not wanting to let go. You follow after them as they get in and turn the corner. You see them round, like you're kind of hot on their heels, and just as they round the corner and you see the back room area where Caithus should have been, instead there appears to be nothing. Caithus is gone. That guard is gone. You see something. You don't have to roll for this. You see something that just greatly upsets you. As you walk back in, you notice that Colin always wears a hat and a jacket and a pair of boots. Like those are he has the same jacket and the same hat and the same pair of boots that he wears for basically everything. It's like pulling teeth to get him to wear anything else. And when you had talked to him earlier and said like, yeah, go take it easy, do whatever, he had put his jacket and hat on like the coat rack near the front-ish part of the museum. So as you walk in, it takes you a second, but you notice the coat rack is empty. Whatever commotion happened, and with whatever screaming, Colin had charged back down here, or at least through this area, to grab his things, unless someone else grabbed them, but they're not worth a lot, except in the sentimental value to Colin. There's something that it's something that indicates to you that Colin is trying to get underway on the case with this.
As Katrina sees this, and the room that Kate Ness was in was empty, right?
Yes. There is just streaks of blood that lead out into another room. And I will say I don't know if this is the case, but I assume it would be. I assume there is an outside back exit to the museum where things could be loaded in or shipped out.
Yeah, you need the shady entrance.
Yeah, you gotta have the shady entrance. So there is a streak of blood. It's not like a overt like blood dragging body trail that leads out and into the alley, but there is a streak that lends itself in that direction.
Kat sees this and her breath catches, and she is at this point, I imagine, pretty thoroughly covered in blood, and still kind of heady from the blood loss, but realizing that Colin is involved now, the dread is just at an all-time high. And she follows the trail, and as she does, she looks back toward the guards. Please, I think my uncle's gone after, and I can't lose anybody else.
The guard, one of them, looks at you and speaks very authoritatively and just says, "Where did they go? Do you know where they could have gone?"
I've got no idea. There's a trail, but Colin, he must have come downstairs. Is there anything I can roll here to get a sense of where?
Why, I'm glad you asked. You can roll sense.
All right, sense. Let's see what we got here. Sense. What stakes are we talking here, boss?
Before I give you that, I'll also say you could roll sense or focus. It will contextualize the information of what you get. But this will be high stakes, because if you don't figure out where they're going,
I look pretty sussy.
Yeah.
All right, I've got fucking 3 drives. I'm gonna spend 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll take.
Ooh.
I want to take the 6. I'm gonna take the 6.
The 6, okay, and you're rolling sense. So there is a moment where you look down at the blood and you look at the door that it's slightly ajar, with like the streak of blood leading towards it and a bloody handprint on the knob. The guards could run out into the street and just start chasing people, but they asked you where they could have gone, and there's a part of you that panicked, is like, oh, they could be anywhere, who knows? And then there's a part of you that surges up very, very like pointedly, and you know where they went. There's only one place on the entire planet in its new, strange, weird state that if Kaith is Kaith, there's one place that Kaith knows better than anyone where Kaith could hide forever. And that's the estate.
This building sense of oh no, is in Kat as it occurs to her, and she goes, I think they've gone to the estate. And swallows as she tries to draw on that part of herself that's still calm somehow, because she's been through crises before. It's just that they typically don't involve one of her relatives trying to kill somebody, or, her getting severely injured. So she's trying to call on that, and it's hard to summon it up in these circumstances. I'll need you to follow behind me and follow closely. The estate doesn't like foreigners.
They both turn and look at each other, and they look back to you, and they nod, and one of them turns to the other and says, "You get reinforcements. We're going to the Kidsla estate." The other one turns back to you. That is the estate you're referring to, right?
Katrina sort of pinches her nose. It's the Forer estate, but that's not important.
They both, he just nods and looks to the other guy, and then that rearmost guard nods, heads out the door, and begins tromping down the way, off to get reinforcements. The one remaining guard looks to you, seeming very confident, and he nods, goes, "Take me to the Forer estate."
Katrina, wincing, just grabs what coat she can on the way out, drapes it around her shoulders, doesn't even formally put it on. All right.
Okay, so you and guard number 2 head to the Forer estate. Speaking of, back at the estate, or at least part of the estate, Kaith, you're in the halls, and you're looking for the reading room with that strange covered body in the chair. As you are navigating the halls, there, in the back of your mind, you feel not a sense of urgency for yourself, but you know the feeling of when you hear an alarm going off, or you hear something like you hear noise and a warning or an alarm of some kind, but you yourself are in a safe situation. The alarm's not for you. You have nothing to worry about. You have that sort of sensation about your entire person right now. As you traverse the estate, just admiring the slowly, well, not slowly, but the ever-shifting colors of the walls and changing of the wallpaper and swapping of the molding. It is both subtle and instant, where at one moment, you will have painted white crown molding, and at another moment, it will be completely like unpainted but dark furnished wood molding, and you never see it change. You never see the transition. It's always as you're walking, and then you look back to where you were looking a second ago, and it's different now. Like the house doesn't want you to see it change. It just wants to be different when you're around it. Not you specifically, the royal you. But you're just meandering through the estate. And as you do, it normally becomes very clear to you, specifically, Kaith, that when you're navigating the estate, it almost funnels you where you want to go. It doesn't really it's not like it traps you, but it's almost like it knows where you want to go, so it will lead you there. There's no accidental choice thrown into the mix, like a door that you could go into or a hallway you could go down. It's just you walk down a hallway with ever-changing features, and then you make a couple of turns, and then eventually there will be a door on your side, and you'll just know that that is the door that you need to take. It never does this in a way that is overt or aggressive, like in the traditional horror movie sense, where you walk down a hallway and there's just a lone spooky door at the end of it. It never does that to you. But as you are walking, something happens that you've never seen happen before, because you are looking for the reading room, and as you walk down the hall, you see a fork in the path. To your right, there is a door, and part of you knows this door is the door you want to the reading room. And to your left, there is a staircase, a wooden staircase with carpeting down the middle, going down.
Has
Which
Cave
way do you go?
ever seen a staircase like this before?
You've seen staircases in the house before. The house inherently has multiple floors, and you've been in the house and gone upstairs and downstairs, and you've gone downstairs when it didn't make sense and gone upstairs when it didn't make sense. Like, it's done this before, but what you haven't seen is, for your case in particular, you've never seen it give you a choice like this. For you, the house has always been a very direct and convenient path to wherever you wanted to go. And that's just the house. It will have you go around turns and go down corners, and sometimes it'll go downstairs, but there's never a point where a fork in the road occurs and there is a choice between going in the place that you want to go or going away from where you want to go. You can make me a focus roll or a sense roll. And this will be medium stakes. Ooh. Are you taking the 5?
I will take the Gilded 3.
You'll take the Gilded 3. Okay. So you look at the door and you look down the stairwell. And looking down the stairwell, it doesn't reveal anything to you. It simply goes down about 10 or so steps and then turns to the left out of sight, which is typically how the house likes to work. It will always leave a pathway that goes and obstructs itself so you can't see. But looking at the stairs and looking at the door and back again, you don't know which one the house genuinely wants you to pick. You would assume it's the door. It's always been a door. But in this in this moment, you don't know what the house wants you to do. And you imagine that this is what most people might feel like when they traverse the Fower estate. Walking around and seeing pathways and choices and other things unfold into more choices, which then unfold into even more choices, which eventually you just forgot which way you went.
It feels like they've disappointed a loving parent, if they had loving parents to disappoint. There's a part of them, the small and fragile part, that wants to sit down on the carpet, pull their knees into themselves, and cry. It's overwhelming, this sense that there are options, that there are multiple things pulling them. They never liked that feeling. They like to know, or at least trust, that they have a direction they're going to go in, and they'll see it through the end. And all that's required is the courage to do that. But not the courage to leave something behind. And so they can only rely on their instincts, that they have decided that they need to see it through. Maybe the house is telling them that that's the wrong thing to do. Maybe it has something they want to see, that it wants them to see more. Maybe it's a warning that they're being pulled away from something terrible. Whatever it actually is, they're going to take the door.
Roll me a sense roll as you place your hand on the doorknob just before you turn it. Just before you turn it, you feel a tingle in the back of your mind. That really familiar, at least now growing familiar tingle. And you don't open the door, but you turn around and look at the stairs. And you notice that the stairs, they're not wooden and carpet covered. They are concrete, stone, going down. And as you take one bleed from this realization, you piece together that the house is, or has, an intruder.
So, I've been given a bleed.
Mm-hmm.
Which means I can let them in.
Ooh, okay.
I get to ask you a question about the source of the bleed.
Mm-hmm.
Is Caithness the intruder?
No. Caithness is not the intruder.
No, that's a single question, but is the sense that the intruder's in the direction of the stairs? Is the house trying to lead them to it or away from it?
I will give you another bleed and answer one of the two questions. Either is the house or do the stairs lead to the intruders? And are they the source of the bleed? Or wait, what? There were two questions in your statement.
You had another one in here, so are they the sources of bleed, huh? It was whether or not the house is leading towards it, and then whether or not the stairs were leading toward the intruder, rather.
Gotcha. So, of those two, I will answer one, provided you take an extra bleed.
Oh, absolutely. Is the house leading them toward the intruders or away from the intruders?
The house, best you can tell, since you're using let them in and you're inside the estate, the best you can tell is that the house doesn't know there's an intruder here. The house is just leading you to where you want to go. It doesn't know that there's someone else here or something else here.
Caithness feels personally violated by the thought that there's someone here that the house doesn't know about. That something they hadn't even really thought of as being so integral to themselves that had its sanctity spoiled. It's enough to make them second guess themselves, to think, was the house, without even knowing it, giving them the choice to go toward them? But the sight of cement makes them think of the underground and of the old world cities. And so they go down the staircase. Because if their instincts are right, that's where the intruders would be. And they don't want intruders in their house.
Mm-hmm. So, you venture down stairs. As you do, you see the walls and the archetypical parts of the house, the molding and the wallpaper and some paint, all of these things start to slowly vanish. With each step you take, you go further and further down, and you start to notice that where before there is kind of like when you were walking in the house a moment ago, it seemed like almost like daytime, where there is enough light that the house is pleasant and welcoming. But as you start to walk down, it transitions into that sort of nighttime but still indoors kind of feel, where you're using artificial light, and the artificial light stands out very, very starkly against the darkness that grows from the corners of the house. And every few steps, the further and further you go down these concrete stairs, these parts of the house start to disappear in the same way that they would shift and change without you looking at them or noticing them. You see out of the corner of your eye, the molding disappears. And then the wallpaper disappears. And the paint disappears. And then eventually the sources of light, little lamps that were lit, always on, but never really needing to be carefully maintained, those lamps are gone. And instead, on these featureless gray concrete walls, there is an ambient light that seems to follow you around, much like when you were in that old world hole before. And you go further and further down into the abyssal depth below. And as you descend, we shift to Bellamy.
They're AFK! They're AFK!
Still?
Charlie, you're up.
Bellamy, no!
Charlie, you're up!
Frozen in
Oh,
flux point
no.
motion.
They're headed back to their desk now.
Perfect. I was hoping that with that much time, they would return.
They were making me hot cocoa.
But no, they were walking around pants down foolishly.
We all do that here.
Yeah.
We all float down here?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly it.
So, Bellamy, you are out and about in the streets of Termarkt, or at least a city that looks and feels and sounds like Termarkt. And it's right about the same time that you had crawled into that historical society hole. And, well, you are adrift. You see that newspaper. Again, the headline very strongly in contrast to everything you understand about the Kinsella family. Where would Bellamy go?
Do I know where the asylum is?
Yes.
Hell yeah. That's where we're going.
Okay. You can easily go. Are you rushing there?
We are rushing there, yes.
You break out into a run, heading to the asylum, hoping to find answers. As you cross the bridge into the church district of the city, you run up to the entrance to the hospital. There are multiple wings to this particular building. The asylum, however, is kept on a slightly lower floor, recessed and, I'm not going to say dungeon-like, but if I had to, I might say dungeon-like. Partially underground. But you run straight into this hospital. Up to the front desk, there are several nurses in attendance there. Are you going to try to, like, rush past them or sneak by or go straight up and ask? What's the play?
Okay. Would they count as security and or detection?
Yeah, for sure.
Heck yeah. So I'm going to use Born in the Shadows and sneak past them.
Oh, hell yeah. Living in the shadows. Okay. So go ahead and roll me hide.
Okay, so the issue is I don't know how to apply an extra gilded.
If that's the case, we can say the leftmost die of the non-gilded one will count as an additional gilded die. So if you're looking at like the Cathis rolls, 4, 5, 3, 4 would be a gilded die.
Mr. God, what are the stakes?
Oh, right, sorry. The stakes will be medium because you're not going to risk getting hurt, but you'll risk attracting attention to yourself and getting in trouble.
I'll use one drive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, a gilded 6. So you like run up to the hospital doors. As you do, you are fully aware, like, okay, if you're trying to get into the asylum ward of this place, they're probably not going to do visitors. So you think quickly about it, and you're like, all right, odds are there's probably not a heck of a lot of people down there, so you might just be able to hazard your way around and find them. But you'll cross that bridge when you burn it. So you wait for a group of people to walk out, and it doesn't take long. The hospital and the church are very busy, bustling kind of areas. So you take a step back, the door opens, and as it opens, you hold the door and quickly slide in behind the people who are exiting. And you hurriedly like sneak up past the reception desk. Are you gonna grab like a quick disguise or just go full just stealth, hide in the shadows style sneak by? I could totally see as you are sneaking by, like you grab a lab coat off a hanger and just use that to make the very, very lazy but effective casual onlooker would be like, oh, okay, they belong here.
You will go with that.
Perfect. Yeah, so you swoops right in, and you are inside the hospital wing. There are signs. They're not the most helpful, but there's, first floor, second floor, third floor, basement postings. And on the basement, you see asylum / psychiatric ward. You make your way down. As you start going down, it's not but 2 flights of stairs, or technically one. It's 1 flight of stairs to get to the lower level. And as you do, or as you round that corner, you see that there is a guard posted, not facing the doors outwardly, but facing the doors inward, to almost as if they are trying to keep asylum people from escaping. Patience, that's the word. But as you see this, you can also sneak past this person. If you want to go ahead and give me another hide roll, and they also count as security people.
I'm gonna assume because this one's actually a guard that the stakes are higher.
Yes, the stakes are high now, because if you are spotted, the guard will raise the alarm and probably aggress on you.
Okay. We will use the drive that we got back and a resistance just in case.
Mm-hmm. You got a 6, but you spend a gilded die. And I don't think you need to spend a resistance. I think the resistances are spent reactively.
Yes, you can spend the resistance to
Yeah.
reroll after a roll is made.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so you still got a resistance, unless you want to use it to try and spend re-roll the gilded dice that you have. Oh, actually, you can do that, but because of your Born in the Shadows, the 5 is gilded as well as the 3, so you can take a partial success if you want, or you could take the full success of the 6.
I will take the full.
Okay, so you slide in. As you are walking down, you notice that there is a metal basket that has been drilled into the wall, and in that basket they have charts. And you, thinking quickly, you like stride over, grab a chart out of the bin, and start casually flipping through it. You're not looking at anything on the chart. You're just using the chart as your Hitman-esque disguise, or press A to blend in disguise, which works remarkably well. You push the door open with your shoulder. The guard doesn't even flinch. They simply see you as just one of many who are allowed in this particular area. You look official enough, so they stay at attention, eyes to themselves. But as you are going through the asylum, there's not a heck of a lot of people or rooms down here, but there are several that you haven't seen before, or there are several that you can't really like see anything unique or defining from. So you'll have to either guess at a random door, or you could go to each one and kind of like poke your head in and give a little look around.
Belly Boy is going to go to each one and just do a fake quick check-in, look at the clipboard, and then move on if it is not Cat.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you roll up to the first door, and there's a very small viewing window. And as you go and slide up to it, you take a peek in. You see a person just way in the back, huddled in a corner. There's just looking in that room. The rooms are desolate. There's a cot. There's a toilet that amounts to little more than just a glorified hole to shit in. There is a simple water basin, and then there's a very, very small window, not big enough to even stick your head out of, but it lets in a meager amount of light. This person you checked on, that's not Cat. Go ahead and roll me a survey, and we'll see how long it takes you to find Cat. Okay. This is a low stakes roll, by the way. So with a 4, you are hustling, but also trying to be as innocuous as possible so that people don't see you just looking in every single one, like, are you in here? Are you in here? Are you in here? But it takes you a good few minutes to find the one you think is Kate. And you're not sure as you open one of the doors and you see that bright orange hair. Initially, you see it, and you have a thought of Gloria, and then you close your eyes and just kind of focus for a second, and you think about it, and you see in your mind Kate, and or Kat, not Kate. You see Kat, and you look a little bit closer, and Kat is there, just on the ground, huddled in a corner, not restrained in any way. Aside from a simple garment, Kat seems to be mostly okay. There's just nothing else in there. Just a smock, and the cot, and the toilet, and the basin. What do you do?
Mr. God, can I see if Kat is wearing the collar?
You peering through, it's a little hard to tell, but it looks like Kat. I believe that collar was a gift, right?
It was.
Yeah, it takes you a minute to identify it, but you can see that they left her with the collar as a single keepsake.
Right. He'll look back over his shoulder towards the guard.
The guard is far enough away, and seemingly disinterested in you enough that you have an opportunity here to get a few words, to exchange a few words, before it starts getting suspicious.
Kachi? Is that you?
So, other cat, you can be.
All right. So I'm just stepping into Cat here. I'm just catting it up.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You didn't let me stab her.
True.
That's true, Matt. I don't think Matt's ever gotten to stab me before, so you did rob them of something there.
Listen, there's a good reason.
You took something precious from me.
Kat, when she hears this name she hasn't heard in quite some time, as she was previously sitting just thinking over what had gotten her to this point, and even still trying to figure out, is there any way out of this, or is this where I belong? She hears the nickname and she laughs, sobs. Oh, I was thinking to myself that maybe I was of sound mind, but I can't be if I'm hearing that. Oh, why does it have to be you, Bellamy? Haven't I mourned you enough?
Old? To clarify, Kiki,
Yes, Char.
Because Cat doesn't know Bellamy is.
Cat does not know.
Cat does not know.
This is not Cat.
This is not Cat.
Which Bell would know.
This is Kit Kat.
Yeah, this is
Oh,
Kit Kat.
shit.
She's had part of her snapped off.
All right.
But he is victorious in all things.
I think that instantly is gonna just alarm him. He's gonna search his pockets, hoping to find anything that they brought while shopping.
Yeah, you still have everything that you brought with you physically. You still have it.
You want the coin, don't you?
Okay, maybe a little, but what else did we buy other than cigarettes?
Pitons. You bought pitons. It was very wise of you.
Pitons. You can have basically, because the way that gear works is what you can basically have whatever you need in the moment, with limits on like how much you have. Like if you wanted a gun, I think you can have 4 different items.
I believe it's 3.
Three different items. And the coin in this particular case does not count, as it's not like strictly like an item in the same way that a gun or a rope would be.
Okay. How big is the hall?
Like from door to door.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably about 8 feet wide. Maybe a little less. You could, if you really wanted to, you could stretch your fingers and touch one end of the wall, and then stretch out your toes and touch the other end.
Misunderstanding. How big is the hall that Bellamy can peek through?
Oh, the hole. I thought you said hall. The hole, like that you're able to peek through and see Cat. It's like kind of like looking through a letter slot on a door. It's about like just maybe an inch or 2 inches high and 6 inches across. Like 2 VHS tapes stacked on top of each other.
Charlie's a Zoomer. They didn't have those.
God damn it.
Did I not have what?
Like 3 VHS discs, like 3 not VHS, 3
okay.
DVDs, DVD cases stacked high.
I had VHSs. Okay. Blanking. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, you have seen Cat cast away in an asylum beneath the surface of the earth with only just a smattering of sunlight, and she seems to know you are someone who you thought elements of confusion into the mix.
Asking for a friend. Do I have the coin?
Yes, you very easily you reach it. Like the moment you think about the coin, the moment it crosses your mind, you like reach into your pocket and you fiddle with it, and it's right where it always should be. Thank God.
Okay. Bellamy is going to whistle for the guard.
Oh yeah, you give a real good like 2-finger like, and the guard, who you're not sure if he was like not paying attention, but he immediately is now, and he gets up and starts like tromping over to you. The immediate thing and this guard is still not inquisitorial, but much more like tough and like bulkier than a typical guard. They walk up and they look at the door, and then they look at you, and part of them, or they immediately like tilt their head to the side and say, "Is this inmate bothering you?"
Bellamy's gonna look him up and down, try to spot keys if he can.
There's keys on the hip. There's a key
Yeah.
ring.
Okay, and he'll shake his head, but he'll make a gesture towards his neck. No one thought it a good idea to take away the collar that she might hurt herself with.
Tilts his head, and he looks at the letterbox slot to kind of almost asking like, can I see? But if you tell him no, he won't.
And Bellamy will take a step back.
Yeah, he'll peek in and look, and he'll spot the collar, and you can hardly see the eyes and face of this person from the covering and the helmet. But for that split second, you see their eyes go a little bit wider, like, oh shit, we got a security breach here. We fucked up. And he's worried that he's in trouble, and you can kind of get that vibe off of him.
Well, Jesus, while he's looking into the peek hole, Bellamy's gonna pull out a piton and strike.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay, let's fucking go. This is as high stakes as it can possibly get. But if it works though.
Oh god, oh fuck. Okay. I will spend 2 drives.
Oh my god!
Let's fucking go!
The power of homo is keeping Bellamy going.
You pull out the python, and this is a railroad spike designed for being shunted into rock wall to support the weight of a full-grown adult. Like, this is easily like supposed to hold and withstand the weight and jerk of like 200 pounds of person, like at a minimum. And you hold it up and line it, and you can see on the other side of this, like for a second, Kat, you were fully convinced that this was just another hallucination. Like, your dead lover returned to like help you as you are committed to an asylum. Like, you've already been convinced that you're insane, even though you don't feel insane. And part of you has kind of suspected, like, well, I guess people who are insane would assume that they don't feel insane. So you're just kind of like in a listless haze, and then you watch them call the guard over, and you're just kind of like, oh, this is a weird hallucination. I didn't know that I could hallucinate like guards being interacted with. I thought it was only people who I was emotionally attached to. And then you see this guard like poke his head in, and then you hear a shunk kunk, like metal grinding on metal, and then just a gurgle of and the guard goes for his neck, and he just sinks to his knees, and you hear the of like a whole metal suit clatter to the ground. Guard is dead.
Moment of appreciation from everybody for those sound effects. Can we hear it for those sound effects?
Very true.
Moment of appreciation for like pulling one. I was not sure you were gonna. I didn't know what you were going to do. I was not expecting you to stab him in the neck with a climbing spike.
Okay,
That's
but you see,
mental.
this is me and Charlie being aligned though, because I'm right about pitons, okay? And Charlie has just proved another excellent use for pitons.
Bear agrees. I wasn't expecting this either. But, you know, here we are. Billy
just
Boy's gonna.
I just want to talk about how cute Charlie is.
No.
I'm so distracted.
No, shut up. Oh, I'm role playing.
Oh, hi,
Alright.
Romano. I didn't see you there.
So Cat hears this, gets up and turns around and looks at Bellamy with absolute shock. And through this slit, her eyes go wide, and very quietly, "Belle, is that really you?"
Bellamy is trying to get the keys off of him, the guard,
Mm-hmm.
and muttering to himself, "Oh, fuck, fuck, fuck," and struggling to get it into the hole. Kachi, we're gonna get you out of here.
It is, isn't it? It's actually you. How? Well, Colin told me that you... We had a funeral.
I'm not quite sure what's going on. Let's get you out of here first and we'll figure it out later. Very quickly, does the lab coat have blood on it?
Roll me a d6. Just a flat d6. Surprisingly enough, there's a little bit of blood on the sleeve, but that you just fold the sleeve up, cover that up, no problem.
All right. Assuming he can get the door open.
Oh yeah, the key gets in the door, pops the door open. It is a loud metal door, but the only people down here to hear it are the other asylum inmates or patients, but like none of them seem to be too preoccupied with the goings on.
With the door open, Bellamy's going to shut the coat and give it to Dr. Cat.
She's regained her doctorate. Is he in the room now?
Door's open.
Oh.
Yeah.
As he drapes the coat around her, because I'm assuming he does, because he's a gentleman. Fuck boy. She will just wrap her arms around him and hold him very tight, and she doesn't move for a little while.
Bellamy's going to freeze.
And
I missed you.
She will run her fingers through his hair.
Gay.
Fuck off.
You're gonna kill him.
I thought I'd never see you again.
I don't think you can get rid of me that easily, right?
She will sort of sob laugh at that.
You're right. I should have known.
All right. I think we should get you to the estate.
You're right. They'll never find us there. The house will look after us.
All right. Bellamy will usher her through the hall, and he'll look back over his shoulder for a moment. And I think he's gonna take the key and like open one of the doors, but not. He'll unlock one of the doors, rather.
Unlock it and get it so that it looks like someone could have opened it, but not actually open it.
Unlocked one of the doors for one of the
other patients.
Yes, but leave it up to them to figure out that it is open.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you've got you got the goyle, you got the guard, you got the key. You give a quick little spin flick of the wrist, and Ka-chunk unlock the door, and you guys are both headed out of the asylum. Quick as you can be. The guard just left in a heap, collapsed onto their knees in a just pile of metal and blood. And as you exit, they are left there alone in the darkness. Do you leave the keys behind?
Yeah, it's gonna be behind in that same door that Bellamy unlocked.
Okay. You leave the keys in that unlocked door to one of the other rooms. As you are rushing up the stairs, you think you hear the sound of sliding metal, but it's too distant to be sure. But you rush out through the front of the hospital and begin making your way to the Fower estate. Speaking of the estate, we have a different cat and a Kaith. Kaith, you have been venturing deeper and deeper and deeper into the, at least what you think is somehow part of the estate. Now, my question to you, as you go, you start to notice, and you notice multiple at once. So as you turn the corner at one point, you notice there is in the same way that you would see it in the estate, there's a door on the right side of the wall. But as you are traversing down the steps, these doors are positioned, and it's starting to reek of that same familiarity of the hole you had gone into, and the door you had crossed, and then the next door that you had crossed, in that hallway full of passages. Here you see a door, and this is not like just a passage that it leads into darkness. It is strictly a door. And as you see, you can see that the different doors are stylistically different. There's a wooden one. There's one that looks steel. There's one that looks more ornate than just a plain wooden one. Do you stop and interact with any individual door of these, because you would see at least 2 to 3 as you started to approach a point in the hall, or the stairwell, I should say. Okay,
Sorry.
very good.
um, I blanked for a second. You'd run that by me again.
Yeah. So you're walking down the stairs, and there comes a point where you notice that there are several doors along the right-hand side of the stairwell that you're walking down. And the doors all look different. There's like a metal one, there's a wooden one, there's an ornate, fancy-looking one. And it's starting to remind you of the other passageway you had been in before, except they're not just like doorless thresholds. Like they're straight up like a door. Do you enter or look in any of these individual doors, or do you just keep walking?
Kate does have a sense of loss that just as they've walked through one and found this house that feels so very different, that each one of these might contain a whole universe of its own. But the intruder's here, so they're going to keep walking.
You keep walking and keep descending, and as you descend further and further, you start to get a sense of vertigo. You're not falling. Your feet are on the ground, but you've been walking down stair after stair, and the movement has become so mechanical that even if you varied your speed up, it would just feel over and over like a kind of absent gesture. Like you're not really moving your legs, you're just watching things move past you. There's no real like there's not really any cognitive demand. You are watching all of these doors and worlds pass by. And as you get deeper and deeper, feels like you're falling at one point and then walking up a wall at another point and then walking sideways down the side of a wall. You have no way to orient yourself in this space as it just goes. And at any point when you look up and back the way you came, it in a just more affirmation of that sense of vertigo, you look up and it almost looks like you're looking further down, and it seems like this stairway is at some point along the way you must have crossed some kind of tipping point, and now you are very, very deep. You don't know if you're in the house anymore. You don't know if the house can hear you or feel you here. It might be able to, but you are descending far below. And you walk and walk and walk. Each passing door, you have a moment where you recognize it, or you think you did, because you may have seen that one in one of the ones you passed. Then you have another not a moment, a door where you think you've seen it before. You have a different door where it is decorated with things that you can't really explain. The make and the design is alien. On an above table level, imagine like a sci-fi-esque, like sliding power vaulted door versus like a simple wooden handle knob or wooden door with a metal knob. It is every possible configuration as you continue to walk further and further down. And as you go, there comes a point where you recognize one door from a different place. It is that steel door, that vault entrance that you saw a reflection of your own eye. And it's there. Do you stop at this one?
Is there a light underneath it?
As you stop and investigate and have a part of the back of your mind think to look a little closer, you see on the bottom of the door, just beneath the threshold, a tiny bit of light, as if someone's holding a light up from the other side.
Pathmus closes the loop and bends down to look into what they assume is the mirror.
Yeah, as you bend down, you see the gentle but awkward fumblings of someone holding up something, and it glints with the light, and your pupil dilates as the light hits it. And you can see in that mirror your own eye reflected back at you. And you can't be certain, but you think you hear voices on the other side of the door. Nothing that you can make out. It's distant and muffled, greatly muffled. There is a sensation that washes over you. It is a knowing process, like knowledge you haven't learned yet being forced into your mind. Knowledge that you otherwise couldn't possibly learn. Roll me a sense roll, and this will be very high stakes.
Very high stakes, you say?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna spend 4 drives.
Okay.
You better be a
Holy
6.
shit. You fucking needed that 4 drives. Holy moly. Okay. With the 1-6, there is a surge of information that you just understand. And you see not everything, but you see a glimpse of part of it. You see the events that have transpired before now replay in your mind. arriving in the carriage, the argument that Kat's parents had, that Kat themselves could not hear. You see Bellamy drinking themselves into oblivion 2 days before you arrived. You see Kat wishing her parents a safe trip as they go to explore the railroad opportunities. You see Kat, unfortunately, or in her mind, unfortunately, leading some guard from the city up to the estate. Confusion and tears welled in her eyes, and blood and wounds streaked down her arm and leg and abdomen. You see Kat again leading Bellamy to the estate. You see Bellamy twice. Bellamy looking into their own eyes. And you watch as a glimpse of terrified madness as Bellamy looks at himself. And there is a snapping. An out-of-body experience that you can understand but can't perceive in any visual way. Only know that when Bellamy saw themselves, there was an experience that only Bellamy could understand. More seeing themselves directly than you had seen yourself. And in that moment, Bellamy's mind fractured as two different contradictory lives had butted heads. You watch from some distant, shadowy place as Bellamy and Laszlo, Jack, and all of the people in that crew stare into their own faces and panic. They all break into a violent frenzy. There can't be another me. There can only be me. And the chaos does not last long. But in that chaos, you see one artifact. Both Bellamy's have it at the same time, despite there being only a single coin. You watch the hands go around Bellamy's neck. It is a visceral struggle. You watch a coin fall to the ground. And then it goes into Bellamy's hand. Bellamy without any wounds on himself. Bellamy dead on the ground with a twisted and broken neck. Bellamy with the blood of all of his friends and coworkers on himself. And all of those coworkers with their own blood on themselves. And you stare into your face through a vision, Kaith. Like staring through a foggy glass window. And you turn around in place. The hallway is gone. You're not in the house. You're not in the estate. You're not anywhere. And each time you turn, you experience or see a new part of what happens to you. You turn and you see a version of you that encounters something from another door. A creature that is bent backwards, bones protruding from skin, and many knuckled joints from a double-waisted creature. It looks like it's in pain, and it lumbers silently to a Caithness. It does not strangle or maim in any sort of bloody or brutal way. It envelops them like a hand wrapping around a tool. And you watch that Caithness go stiff and then go limp like a marionette doll hung on strings. You watch as a Caithness sees the eye from beneath the door, sees the fire reflected in the mirror, and fails to grasp the magnitude of what that means. As the Caithness closes the loop, their mind crumples underneath the weight of it. You see another Caithness refuse to close the loop. You see a third Caithness, and a fourth, and a 10th, a 100th. Every possible Caithness, sorry. Every possible Caithness. All of them just slight permutations on the previous one. Just copies of copies of copies of copies with no original. But this does not shatter your mind. In this abyss, in this realization, you have found two things, Caithness. You have found that you are trapped and that you are free. You are locked inside an infinite prison that you cannot escape from. Within the confines of this story, Caithness, in this moment, you have nearly unlimited power, but you can't get out of the story. I'm going to ask what you do next, and I'm going to give you a little bit of time to stew on it. Because while one Caithness is having this epiphany, there are two Katrinas and one Bellamy who are hurrying to the Foar estate. Cat,
Yes. Both of me.
Cat, you are rushing to the estate in pursuit of Caithness. Something has come over her, and you are not sure what it is. You hope that it is not. You hope that it isn't actually them. But you just want this chaos to be over. Your life was so much more simple, even in all of the convoluted craziness that it was so much more simple before Eighth just introduced all of this chaos. And you're having this sort of panicked stirring in your mind. It makes the walk to the estate so much shorter than you realized. At some point along the way, you got in front of the guard who you were leading. He's still behind you, but you arrive there at the estate. Where are you going first?
I think that Kat knows Keith and knows the estate well enough to, when it comes to matters of Caithness, just put the trust in the estate. So she doesn't wander in with any particular goal except to find where Keith is, and she keeps her attentions on that as she's walking through the estate.
Okay. So as you get here and actually start to maneuver into the estate, go ahead and make me a sense roll.
A sense roll, okay.
I will also allow you to attempt a sway roll at a much higher stake. So you can have a medium stakes sense roll or a very high stakes sway roll.
I will take the sense roll. I will spend 1 drive on it.
Okay.
Okay, fuck me then. I'll take
So-
the gilded 3.
You get your drive back.
Yeah, it's free real estate.
You're panicking.
The estate is literally free real estate.
Oh, god damn it.
You really don't want to panic in this moment, but you having that, like, God, I don't want to panic. I shouldn't panic. I need to just chill out right now. I shouldn't be panicking. Like, that doesn't help you to not panic. It just kind of makes the panicking worse. And you feel that anxiety leach into the ground of the estate. And you know the house is listening. And it always listens to the Kinsella family. And it heard you. Doesn't move. Nothing happens. But in this moment, you are desperately driven to find Caithness. Or whatever looks like Caithness. As you stand there with the guard, you apparently hadn't heard them, but they had at some point put a hand on your shoulder, and you feel them give you a little bit of a shake, just like, Miss, I need you to tell me where to go. And you can see that The man has removed his helmet. He's holding it under an arm in a casual gesture that he's probably done 100 times before. He looks kind. Not old, but he has tired eyes and like a mop of short, wavy brown hair.
Cat, at his question, just stops and takes a breath.
It isn't that easy. The house is temperamental. It doesn't like having visitors, and Kate Ness knows it better than anybody, even if that weren't Kate Ness we saw.
And she takes a breath.
I know how this looks, but I think we can find her. We just need to keep going. Or maybe the house doesn't want us to find them.
Cat is absolutely unable to keep her cool at present.
The guard regards you and is nodding understandingly, but you are perceptive enough to know that this is a person who's like, okay, I don't fully understand what's going on here, but I have a job to do. He sets his helmet down on the ground. He has his sword drawn. He looks at the main stairwell in the estate, and you know that the grand staircase in the main part of the estate, most days it's there. Most times you come here, it is there. Occasionally it's not. But even something as big and grandiose as a central stair, sometimes it is not there, depending on the house's mood. He looks at the stairs, he looks at you, and he looks up the stairs and says, I'm gonna go find her. You wait here. And he starts to charge up the stairs.
Cat watches him go, wondering if the house is really going to permit him to find Kate Ness, who has always been its favorite child, or if she's just sending someone to their death. And which is worse, sending this guard to his death, or if this is really Kate Ness and she's having some sort of break, if it's bad to arrest Kate Ness in this state, or if she's made some sort of mistake. It all starts to weigh very heavily, and given everything that's happened, like realistically, I don't know if Kat can come to a decision like she usually would in this moment. I think she's too overwhelmed by stuff, so she just watches him go up the steps and wonders with dread what is about to happen.
You watch this stranger run up the steps, and you wait in anxiousness. At some point, I assume you would. How long would you wait, you think?
I think she only makes it like 10 minutes or so, 10, 15.
Mm-hmm. You wait about that long, about 10 minutes. And there's a part of you that stirs and demands you move. You don't hesitate when that part of you pushes. You steel yourself. If they don't find Caithness, you will find Caithness yourself. And you charge up the stairs. Roll me a focus or sense roll.
A focus or a sense roll.
And this will be medium stakes.
Let's do sense. I will spend a drive on it. Well,
Take a 4.
you know what? I'll take the 4. I'll take the 4.
Okay. So you rush up the stairs, and Caithness made it look easy. The house does not hate you like it has hated some people. But navigating the house is difficult, no matter who you are, save for Caithness. As you run up, it turns, it twists. You remember hallways that used to be there from when you were a kid, and hallways that you've seen the last time you were here. It is dizzying, to say the least. As you are sprinting through, just trying to find some way, opening doors, going through passages, running upstairs, running downstairs, eventually you see a door that is slightly open, just barely creaked or cracked. After exhausting yourself, take a brain as you see that slightly open door.
All right.
You can see, just barely as you tiptoe up towards it, the house. You struggle to always understand what the house wants, but in this case, it seems very clear the house wants you to go in there. Do you listen?
I think Kat is convinced that listening to the house is the best thing to do in this case, because they're trying to get to Caithness. So yeah, I think they do listen.
You walk up to the door and slowly push the door in, and you see an old, worn chair with a sheet thrown over it, and a body laid beneath it, as if someone were resting in a chair.
Kat is just filled with dread. I don't think she's ever seen this room before, but a reading room does seem to be something that suits Caithness, and she's seen sights like this sheet before, and she whimpers, approaches, pulls off the sheet.
As you pull the sheet off, your vision swims for a minute, and the sheet completely clouds your field of view. Almost as if when you pick it up and tried to reveal beneath it, a gust of wind or something had caught and blown it directly into your face. You scramble and get it off, and as you pull it down and away from your face, the chair, instead of a genderless sort of humanoid shape beneath it, you see an older woman, and you recognize this woman. It takes you a second to blink and fully process what you're seeing, but you see the old cat, the grandmother. She sits there in old, comely looking clothes, with a I don't know the name of the pattern, but it's a very like loud pattern on a shawl in a proper kind of simple button-down blouse with a skirt, a long skirt. And she is sitting before you with a simple smile on her face, and on her lap, a tea set with 2 cups. And she looks at you in the most knowing way and says, "Oh, my dearie, you've stirred up something nasty, haven't you?"
Kat seems almost on the verge of tears as she walks ahead. Yeah, Nanny, I have. Have you seen Caithness?
She nods very slowly. "Seen her here and there. Seen her a lot lately."
Have you seen a Caithness that wasn't Caithness?
She smiles a little wider, and her eyes just don't reciprocate the gesture. Her eyes are. She looks at you, but her vision is elsewhere. She nods once. "Aye, that I have."
Kat, another deep breath, looks with sort of longing for comfort at her grandmother, but also just this sense of everything being wrong. Nanny, I think that Caithness is dangerous. That one that's not Caithness. They caught me. You could see I'm a mess. I'm worried if I don't find them. Something awful's gonna happen.
She reaches out a hand and she says, "Oh, pet, something awful has already happened. You look a mess. Why don't you come and sit?" And she pats a chair next to her. It looks almost identical to her own. And you don't think about it too hard. But there wasn't a chair there before.
I think Kat is so desperate for comfort that she really isn't going to question it very much. She really is just going to sit, whatever that might bring with it.
She smiles as you sit. And as you sit, we will cut to a different cat and to Bellamy. You are both bedraggled and tired, having just escaped, or rather, one of you escaped and the other jailbroke from the church and the asylum. Or whatever they had planned is now thwarted, thankfully. You have made it back to the estate. And the estate looms as tall as it always has been, in the foreboding way it always has done. As you enter the Kinsla estate, you both feel a deep sense of trespassing, not for your own steps, but as though someone has trespassed here. Where do you go in the mansion?
Does Belly Boy have any thoughts here?
I think Belly Boy still gets lost in the manor or estate, so he's gonna look to Cat.
I think this cat has a particular place in the manor that she wants to go. A place that she's only ever been to once. But it was with Bellamy. I think she's going to try and find the atrium.
Okay. You lead Bellamy towards the atrium. There is much that you don't understand. That Bellamy is alive, that you had already mourned his death. You don't know if the church will notice your absence, nor do you fully understand if the consequences of escaping the church, how far they will reach. But there is something you do know, and you do know the way to the atrium. You do know that you are much happier where you are with Bellamy, and in all of this strange and anxious, confusing mess than you would be alone in the bowels of the church sanitarium. It does not take you long. As you are moving through the mansion or the estate, in a strange way, as you are, or in a strange turn of events, as you are maneuvering through, you have a good sense of where you're going. You can't prove it, but you do, Cat. But Bellamy, as you're moving through the manor of the estate, you notice a sort of tug from the coin. And that coin is tugging you down. Every time you take a turn, every time you enter a doorway, every time you pass a staircase, you know which way goes down. And you know that the coin wants to go down. Do you listen to it?
Bellamy is gonna shrug off his coat and abandon it in one of the holes.
Sorry, repeat that.
Bellamy is gonna abandon it in one of the halls. I would attempt to anyway.
Okay. Okay. Go. Can you make me? Can you make me either a sway or a I will say sense. Way or a sense roll.
Oof. Okay. I will go sway.
Mm-hmm.
Can I use a resistance?
You can. So you won't take any brain marks for this. But you feel the coin tug, and there's a moment of frustration where you're just like, just stop. Just I don't want to listen to the coin right now. As much as you want to keep the coin on you, in that moment, you feel fully prepared to abandon it, and you do so. You discard your coat, the coin just hanging in a pocket, and you continue to follow Cat happily. And you wait for another few moments, and as you round a corner, you are met with a choice. You see Cat assuredly heading towards the door, about to reach the destination. And off to the side, a door sits slightly ajar to a stairwell that goes down and spins in on itself. And you would normally think nothing of it, but you feel that tug. And you reach into a pocket unconsciously, and you withdraw the same coin that you had thought you had just discarded.
Right, Bellamy's gonna look to Cat. She walks away. And then down at his bloodied hands with the coin. He's gonna close his fist around it and go towards the stairs.
Charlie, I'm gonna go over there and beat the shit out of you.
You turn and go down the stairs. Cat, you reach the atrium, putting a hand on the door and turning around. And Bellamy is gone.
Cat, who had been so happy and just so ecstatic to have somebody there, to have Bellamy there, and to feel as if she hadn't really lost her mind. She reaches this atrium and she starts and she's talking. You know, I wasn't sure I'd ever be able to find this place again, but do you remember? This is where we had our first. And then she turns and he's gone. And she just crumples to the ground.
And as you crumple, as Bellamy descends, as another cat sits down for tea, we resume focus on a place that is not a place and a Caithness who is not just Caithness. Where are you? What are you? As you are almost experiencing all of these things inside the house from beyond the confines of your body, watching everyone kind of move around like ants. Actually, Caithness, make me a high stakes sense roll.
I will use my remaining intuition drive. Nice.
Perfect. So, you can choose. I will let you choose. You are going to take either one brain or one bleed. But I will, for free, as a result of getting one of those, allow you to use the forbidden ritual ability that you have.
So right now, either of those will scar Caithness.
So you can get it without, you can take a scar and get the effect of the ritual without taking an additional scar.
Okay. Go with bleed.
Okay. So you get a bleed scar. Caithness, you are watching all of these people run about the house. You can see another version of you prowling, hunting. You can see an older man who you don't recognize, but he's wearing a guard's uniform of some kind. You see Cat, you see Bellamy, you see many Cat Bellamys, and you see the grandma. The matriarch Cat. And as you are watching all of this, you have a realization and an opportunity. You are sitting, or not sitting, but you are existing in a place where you can understand and see these weaving people in all of these different, disparate stories, all disconnected, but somehow all still connected. I will leave the choice up to you. But in this moment, you can become the Flower Estate.
There's a word that's been stuck in their head. It started when they had received the message that they were needed at home. And it had only grown louder and louder. Normal. Why can't you just be normal? What were they supposed to answer to that? What do you tell somebody looking at you with those eyes? And as they look at all of themselves spread across the many realities, possible realities, were they all happening at once? Did it matter? They have to admit to themselves what few probably could in that situation. The Caithness who fractured and broke. The Caithness who picked up the ritual dagger and slashed her sister. The one looking under the door, the one looking back. They were all the same Caith. All of that was within her, was within them, and could have happened to any of them at any time. A memory comes to them, one that they shouldn't have had. A hand held over another's mouth. The knife not stabbing, cutting, so that none of the blood and artistry could be wasted. The image of the Sephiroth in crimson over a pale white sheet. They come to understand a lot about themselves in this moment, and more about why there is no going back. There never was any going back. Caithness is going to become the estate.
In a sense, there isn't a chain. Just a new understanding. As you start to comprehend through all the time that the estate has existed, from decades ago, for the Weirdning, from after, from the childhood you had, and the childhoods that Bellamy and Kate and all the other Kinsella family had, to their inevitable deaths in the house and outside the house. You've always been the house. And you always will be the house. And that is where we will end the session.
Holy shit. What a fucking banger, Joe.
Heck yeah.
Thank you all for playing along. That was so fun.